Hi, Long Range Hunting. Today, what we're going to be talking about is cooking steaks and the best way to do it, in my opinion. Now, I've been known for a lot of things in my life. Everything from hunting, precision shooting, 50 cows, etc. But one of the things that I'm most known for is my ability to cook, especially steaks are my main specialty. And so I get a lot of questions, and something in the shooting world, it's a way, not the way. And so a lot of people get stuck in that this is the only way because this is how it's been done, and they're afraid to try anything new. And so again, that mentality kind of keeps you where you're at. And so over the years I have perfecting, I've got it, and I'm going to show you guys. Now again, this can work on any kind of meat as far as steaks. It can work on wild game, it can work on beef, anything. Right now this is some Wagyu beef and some filet that I'm going to be cooking up, and I'm going to show you guys how I do it, the seasonings I use and everything. So you can see what I did is I put a nice little layer, and I only use 4 seasonings, and that's been kind of my staple of what I do. And the first thing I use, and I have to get it from Idaho, is Johnny's seasoning salt. Now this stuff is amazing. It's the only seasoning salt I use, and it's just phenomenal. I stock up whenever I go up to Idaho because, again, it's that good. Next thing I'm going to use is garlic salt and a good lemon pepper. Now I'm going to finish it off with some cracked peppercorn. And all I'm going to do is depending on the thickness of your steak, if it's thinner, I only do one side. If it's a thicker steak, I do both sides. But all I'm going to do is just lightly shake a nice layer on with all 4 seasonings. And again, you don't want to overdo it, but you do want it to be covered. And then press it in with a fork. If it's a thicker piece, flip it over to the other side. And that is a great seasoning base. I don't marinate, I don't stuff it. And again, I've tried everything. I've marinated them in everything imaginable. I've filleted them open and stuffed them with fresh onions and garlics. I've poked holes in them and done the same thing. I've tried just about everything under the book. And honestly, this is what's worked best. And with any type of meat, especially when you get into the steak variety, to start off, everybody says, well, what do you do to tenderize? I don't. Meat quality is more important than anything else. If you have a rock hard steak to begin with, it's going to be hard. You should go for the steak that's soft. And what I'll do, if I'm in a store and I'm looking at packages, I'll actually poke it. And I want that steak to be nice and soft. And I'll give you a prime example. Now these are just some ribeyes. These aren't what I'm cooking today, but you can see when I press into it, I'm not putting a lot of force. It's very tender. I mean, you can see that's very tender. This is going to be a very good cut of steak. So again, if you're going to start out, you want it to be nice. You want it to be tender, because again, that's what's going to get that tender meat. And again, depending on the quality, you're going to have marbling, which is fat inside. You want to look at that. Now, unless you're getting into the high-end steaks, then the marbling will have effect on flavor. But realistic on the cheaper steaks, if you're on the cheaper side of it, I prefer not to have a lot of marbling or fat, because unless you're slow cooking it, I find it doesn't do anything as far as flavor unless you just like eating the fat. And so it just really depends on what you're getting. Now, once you get into the higher end stuff like prime and Wagyu and Kobe and stuff like that, it's a little bit different. And they're judged on that scale. But for the cheaper end, I don't worry about it as much. I'm just looking for really soft, bright red, and just quality. Get USDA choice or whatever you can. And pick that good meat. And again, tenderness is from the meat. You can try to beat up a piece of meat in order to tenderize it, but why not just buy a quality piece to begin with? And that's my standard. I look at it. If I can't easily poke it like that and have it move, I'm just not going to buy it. You want good quality steak. Life's too short for crappy food. But again, so once you have that good piece of meat, season one side or both depending on thickness. And here I'm going to take it out to the grill and show you exactly how I keep it tender, cook it fast, and don't get that charred outside. Because a lot of guys complain and they say, how do you get it so the outside is as tender and soft as the inside? Versus they'll cook it and it's that seared hard edge, and then so you're getting hard, soft, hard when you cut through it. And that comes from the old school thinking of, I get a lot of guys and they'll say, oh, your steak is amazing. How do you do it? Can you teach me? I always get this. And I'll show them, and then they'll look at me and say, oh, it's wrong. Well, it's really not. If it works and the quality's there, it works. It's good. And it kind of goes back to the long range thinking with a lot of guys of, you can prove to them what works, but if it goes against their built-in belief system, they're not going to believe it. And it doesn't matter what you show them. And so I don't do what most people do. I don't do the half on one side, flip it over, and then let it go and it's done. I find that's not really effective in my opinion. You can do you, but again, I'm going to show you what I do, and we can go from there. And I'll show you while on the grill how I do it, and on the table what it looks like. Now real quick, I've got these other steaks out. These are a couple really nice ribeyes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my seasoning process as far as this goes. And again, I only use 4 seasonings. You don't need a lot of seasonings. It's everything in cooking is balance. You want to have the right balance of flavor and seasoning. So all I'm going to do is simply do a little bit of shaking. And I'm just going to get a base layer on there. And this is, if you can see it, it's just a light layer. And I'm going to do that with all 4 seasonings in about the same amount. Want it nice and even, and you're just going to simply go across it. Now with this is normally a little smaller than or I normally use one that's a little smaller, so with this one I have to do a little different. If I have the smaller one, I'm just going to continue to shake. This one I do a little bit of just a pat, and I just get a nice even coat across the entire thing. Got some nice lemon pepper. And lemon pepper has a lot of good flavors. So, and then I'm just going to sit there with a cracked peppercorn. And I'm just going to do it like mowing a lawn. I'm going to go down one strip, go down the next, and then go down. And that's one side done. And then I'm just going to simply take a fork, and I'm going to press that seasoning in just a little bit. And that's going to help it to keep it from coming off. And then all I'm going to do is just flip it over, since this is a thicker cut. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, just simple, nice base layer. A bit of garlic salt, some lemon pepper. And again, I've tested this. I started experimenting with steak when I was 12 years old, and I spent an incredible amount of time messing with steaks to get that perfect steak, because it's my favorite food. There's nothing better in this world to me than a glass of a good whiskey and a good steak. As my family says and friends, I'm the real life Ron Swanson when it comes to this. I'm very similar to him in many ways, except for the crazy ex-wives, but my love of meat and a good bottle is very similar. And again, this is all that it takes to get that seasoning. And if you can see, it's a nice light coat. It's going to cook really well, and it's got a lot of flavor. And it's very simple prep. Again, the meat is 99% of it. I mean, you could throw this on with just some salt and pepper, and the meat's still going to taste good. I like a little bit more zing with mine. I like what the lemon pepper does and the cracked peppercorn. It gives it a really good flavor. And of course, I can never speak highly enough of this. I've used it for 20 years. Is Johnny's seasoning salt. All right, guys, I preheated the barbecue grill, and all I'm going to do with these is I'm going to simply take them, I'm going to throw them on. And close it. Now, a common mistake that I see people make, and again, it goes to that one side flip and then the other side it's done, is they sear that side and it gets really hard and then it sticks to the grill. And I don't do that. What I'll do is I'll set it on for 30 seconds each side and get a sear on, and so that the meat has cooked on that part and it's not going to stick to the grill. So I'm going to give it just a second and let that happen. Now, if you can see this, it's seared, but it's not hard. So it won't stick. So about 30 seconds, start flipping. Now, as you can see, that was easy to flip. It didn't stick to the grill. I'm not having to peel it off. And I'm going to give it another 30 seconds, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip it. What I found works best is flipping it about every 45 to 60 seconds after this. 30 seconds on each side to get that sear, and then go. And again, it's not really seared. It's just cooked enough to where it's not going to stick. But that heat retention is going to hold whether you're flipping it multiple times or not. And so why not rotate it so you're getting indirect heat on parts of it, and you're not getting all the heat to one part, which is leaving it on that for an extended period of time is what's making it hard, and then soft in the middle, and then hard. And so I'm going to just simply go through again. It's been about 30 seconds. Then I'm going to flip them. Now, this can be done with both elk, beef, any of those meat groups of red meat. You can cook the exact same. I use the same seasonings. I cook it the exact same way, the same temperature. And a big misconception with cooking wild game is that you have to have it done well done. That's completely false. As long as you're at rare, the internal temperature of that meat has cooked is high enough that it's going to kill any bacteria or anything that could cause you to get sick from ingesting raw meat. And so again, it doesn't matter if it's beef, wild game, anything. I like mine around medium rare. And so again, I'm just going to sit here through this entire process, and about every 45 to 60 seconds, I'm going to flip it to keep it from getting that charred, hard outside. And what it's going to do is it's going to make the outside as tender as in the inside. And so again, I have a lot of people doubt me on this. They will watch me do it and then see the results, and they'll still argue because, again, they have that mindset of their way is the only way. It's not a way. So, again, this is what I use for every type of meat I cook. The same principles. Whether I don't care if it's barbecue chicken, if it's pork, whatever I do on the grill, I'm going to do it the same way. It doesn't matter if it's on the stove, wild game, beef, whatever you're going to eat. And, again, any wild meat you can cook just like beef as far as temperatures as, you know, going rare, medium, medium well done, whatever you want to do. So again, and I'm going to keep flipping it. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me the whole time, but I'll show you the end result here in a second. Now this is the finished product, and what I want to show you is even cutting this. You can see how easy that is. Just open it. And it's nice and easy to open. It's cooked just the way I like it. And you can see all these juices from it, but you can watch as I cut, there's no like resistance or anything. You can see the outside's nice and soft, the inside is nice and soft, and there's a lot of flavor in it. Again, you can do these juices, and you can watch, I'm putting very to no resistance into these. And again, you can just pull these apart. They're so soft. You don't even need to cut it. Alright guys, now I've showed you how I cook my steak. I do this with wild game, everything. I get a lot of questions on this. And again, these meats just fall apart. I mean, it is so good, rubbing a little juice. Now this is great. Again, it's a common question I get. Hopefully this helps you, and happy hunting. All right, Junior, let's see what you think of the steak. Good? All right, buddy.
That's good.
You two laughing during the filming. What the heck, you guys? That dingling right there, too. Trying to make a video to teach you guys how to cook steak good, and these two dinglings are laughing hysterically so I can't film. Don, it's lucky you're so cute.